Ever wonder what possesses someone to think they can just walk up to a bear and take a selfie? Or why anyone would think injecting boiled birdseed was a good idea? These aren't urban legends or movie plots. They're documented cases of spectacularly poor decision-making that ended in tragedy. From the genius woman who thought a moving bus was the perfect time to step outside for a smoke break, these 39 real incidents prove that natural selection never takes a holiday. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more upcoming videos. So, sit tight, as this list is packed with some pretty poor judgment calls. 1. The selfie that went too far. A 30-year-old man spotted what appeared to be an injured bear on a rural roadside. While his passengers pleaded with him to stay in the car, he saw a photo opportunity. Armed with his smartphone, he approached the seemingly helpless animal for the perfect selfie. The bear wasn't as injured as it appeared, and sprang to life with surprising force. The encounter was swift and final, a deadly reminder that no amount of social media fame is worth your life when dealing with wild predators. 2. The Midnight Millennium Mistake. A Stanford graduate decided to welcome the new millennium from atop a Las Vegas streetlight. As crowds cheered below and the countdown began, he successfully climbed the pole and waved enthusiastically. When the clock struck midnight, he lost his footing on the narrow perch. Desperately grabbing for the nearest object to break his fall, he seized the high-voltage wires powering the light. He became the first Darwin Award recipient of the 21st century, though medical examiners couldn't determine if electrocution or the 30-foot fall killed him first. 3. The Shopping Cart Speedster. 18-year-old Cameron from Florida decided to recreate a viral video by riding in a shopping cart while holding onto a moving SUV. For several moments, he felt invincible as his makeshift chariot raced through the parking lot. The physics worked perfectly until the SUV hit a speed bump. The sudden deceleration violently overturned his cart, ejecting him onto the pavement. Having forgone any safety equipment, he was pronounced dead at the scene, his brief experiment in alternative transportation ending predictably. The Triple Scooter Tragedy. 3 15-year-old boys in Japan squeezed onto a single 50cc scooter designed for one person. None had licenses, none wore helmets. Their precarious balancing act ended when they swerved into oncoming traffic. 2 boys were thrown directly into the path of cars. All 3 died at the scene, proving that safety laws aren't arbitrary rules, but lessons written in the blood of past tragedies. 5. The Jet Ski Jumper Cable Genius. When Rodney's jet ski battery died on Lake Washington, he pulled up to a dock and plugged jumper cables into a 110-volt outlet. Then he made a fatal error. He jumped back onto his watercraft while still in the water, holding the live cables. Electricity used his body as a conductor to the surrounding water, electrocuting him instantly. A beautiful day on the lake became a terrible lesson in electrical safety. 6. The DIY Tree Trimmer. A homeowner rented a powerful wood chipper to trim his oak tree, positioning it at the base and planning to drop cut branches directly into the hopper. When he lost his balance and fell from his ladder, paramedics found him halfway through the machine's intake, one leg processed to the hip. Some shortcuts cost more than time. They cost everything. 7. The Railway Schedule Reader. A Scottish thief planned to steal copper cable between trains using what he thought was careful timing. His fatal flaw was discovered in his pocket, an outdated train timetable. The train arrived 10 minutes early while he was cutting the live wire, sending lethal electricity through his hacksaw and body. His meticulous heist was foiled by a simple failure to check the updated schedule. 8. The Garbage Chute Slider. In a Calgary apartment building, drunk friends dared each other to ride the in-house water slide, actually the 12-story garbage chute. 25-year-old Sheldon accepted, climbing into the narrow metal tube for a headfirst descent. He beat the elevator down but didn't land in soft trash bags. Instead, he tumbled directly into the steel trash compactor at the bottom, ending his evening of fun with swift, crushing finality. 9. The Runway Photographers. 2 women at a Mexican horse race wanted the perfect photo and climbed onto a van roof near the airfield for the best vantage point. So absorbed in their photography session, posing, checking angles, reviewing shots, they became oblivious to their surroundings. They failed to notice a small plane making its final approach. The aircraft's wing struck both women, killing them instantly. They had found the highest point for their photo, but also made themselves the highest obstacle in a landing plane's path. 10. The Tire Thief's Final Job. Mark had an ambitious plan to steal tires from a dealership, already using one stolen truck to haul his prizes. Working on his next target, he jacked up a pickup truck but neglected to ensure stability. The truck shifted, the jack slipped, and multiple tons crushed his chest. Dealership employees found him hours later, literally crushed by the weight of his own greed in a grim monument to poorly executed crime. 11th, the copper wire collector. A 16-year-old UK teenager entered the copper theft business, targeting electrical substations despite numerous danger of death signs. He viewed these warnings as psychological barriers meant to scare away thieves rather than literal statements of fact. The moment his metal tools contacted wires carrying enough voltage to power thousands of homes, his brief criminal career ended with electrifying finality. The warning signs had been absolutely accurate. 12. The romantic enhancement experiment. A 34-year-old man seeking to enhance his romantic life used an eyedropper to inject cocaine directly into his urinary tract. Initially seeming to work, the experiment caused a painful 3-day condition. When it appeared to resolve, relief was short-lived. The cocaine triggered massive blood clotting throughout his body. Doctors amputated both legs above the knee, all but one finger, and his penis detached on its own. He survived as a living testament to perhaps the most costly few minutes of pleasure in medical history. 13. The William Tell reenactment. Two lifelong friends in their late 40s after heavy drinking decided to recreate the William Tell legend using a beer can instead of an apple. Larry placed the can on his head while Silas, his aim unsteady from alcohol, took the shot. He missed the can entirely, fatally wounding his best friend. A profoundly stupid end to a lifelong friendship, proving some legends are best left as legends, especially with alcohol involved. 14. The cardboard surfer. At an Australian festival, a man decided to road surf behind a slow-moving parade truck, sliding on cardboard while holding a rope. Wearing a large sombrero with beer in hand, he was having the time of his life until the rope got caught under the truck's wheels. The vehicle pulled him under, turning him into a human speed bump. The newspaper immortalized the incident with his body bag placed beside his poignant sombrero. 15. The frozen drug dealer. A truck driver hid drugs in his refrigerated broccoli shipment. When police found his abandoned truck, they discovered something protruding from the frozen vegetables: human feet. The driver's body was found upside down, head frozen to the floor. He had fallen while retrieving his stash, knocked himself unconscious, and succumbed to hypothermia. His criminal enterprise had literally put him on ice. 16. The gym communicator. A woman working out at a Mexican hotel gym needed to communicate with someone below. Instead of using stairs or a phone, she leaned her head into an industrial elevator shaft to shout downstairs. Perhaps clouded by workout endorphins, she failed to notice the elevator car moving upward. In the contest between a rising metal box and a human head, the elevator won. Her communication shortcut led to a permanent conclusion. 17. The leaguer feeder. Peter, a 32-year-old animal sanctuary volunteer, had a gift for connecting with animals until it catastrophically failed. The sanctuary housed a massive liger with one absolute rule: never open its gate, especially during feeding. For unknown reasons, Peter broke this rule and entered during mealtime. Instead of delivering food, he became the meal. Though he escaped the enclosure, his injuries were fatal. When there's a hungry predator behind a gate, do not open is a rule, not a suggestion. 18. The train-fighting Porsche owner. A 68-year-old Italian man stopped his expensive Porsche SUV directly on train tracks when crossing gates trapped him. He wisely jumped out to safety but then made a fatal calculation. Thinking of repair costs, he ran toward the oncoming train, waving frantically to stop it and save his vehicle. The train struck both car and man, throwing him 30 meters. He lost his life trying to save a replaceable object. 19. The Granite Cliff burglars. Two Swedish burglars, spotted after raiding a gymnasium, chose to escape down a 55-foot granite cliff in the dark during rain. They overlooked that wet granite is as slippery as a kitchen countertop. One burglar slipped immediately and fell to his death, stolen goods scattered around him. Some shortcuts lead directly to early graves, and sometimes the escape is more dangerous than getting caught. 20. The poppy seed pharmacist. Darren saw bird seed labeled 100% poppy seed and concluded it must be opium. He boiled the seeds into paste and injected it twice when the first attempt failed. He arrived at the hospital unconscious with thousands of tiny seeds throughout his lungs, causing organ failure and sepsis. Though he survived this incident, he later died from conventional overdose, having learned nothing from his near-death experience with bird food. 21. The handicapped victim's revenge. Edward broke into a handicapped man's apartment expecting an easy target. When the victim woke and was attacked, he defended himself by striking the burglar between the legs with his crutch. The burglar leaped from the window, leaving behind a testicle that had fallen from his pants. Doctors later amputated his entire scrotum to prevent gangrene. From his hospital bed, he filed a complaint, apparently forgetting he'd initiated the encounter by breaking and entering. 22. The snowball truck grabber. Two toll collectors were having a friendly snowball fight when one spotted perfect snow on a passing truck's roof. He reached out to grab ammunition from the moving vehicle, but his hand got caught. The powerful truck pulled him from his booth and dragged him along the highway. An innocent winter game between co-workers turned fatal, showing how thin the line between fun and disaster can be. 23. The welding tire mechanic. An experienced mechanic was repairing a tractor-trailer rim crack with welding but skipped deflating the massive tire first. Despite warnings from his manager and a customer, he applied heat to the pressurized tire. The heated air expanded until the tire exploded catastrophically, launching the 4-foot rim into his head and killing him instantly. Experience provides no immunity from basic physics. 24. The vandalism physicist. 4 young men were vandalizing mailboxes from their moving minivan when Kevin wanted better throwing leverage. He opened the side door while the vehicle was moving and reached back for a large rock. His powerful throwing motion created a pendulum effect with his body as the weight, flinging him from the moving vehicle onto the pavement. His act of minor vandalism ended in fatal impact with the road. 25. The bridge jumping biker. A 37-year-old Florida man in swim trunks aimed his motorcycle at an opening drawbridge, determined to jump the gap like an action movie hero. As he sped toward his glorious leap, a descending safety gate swept him cleanly off his bike and over the bridge's side into the water below. Ironically, his riderless motorcycle continued its trajectory, successfully jumped the gap, and landed safely on the other side. 26. The Death Valley nudist. Robert was trying to reach a nudist campground when his van got stuck in Death Valley's salt flats. After 6 days, he was rescued but immediately hitched another ride back to retrieve his vehicle. Dropped off 15 miles away, he walked into the desert without water, map, or GPS. His body was found 3 days later. Death Valley rarely gives second chances to those who disrespect its power. 27. The action movie bridge jumpers. 2 Louisiana men encountered a fully raised drawbridge and saw it as an action movie opportunity rather than a stop sign. They floored their sedan, attempting to launch across the chasm. Cars aren't designed for flight. They went airborne briefly before plunging into dark water below. Police divers recovered both men inside their submerged vehicle, their cinematic ambitions drowned by physics. 28. The flood-defying SUV driver. Barbara approached a flooded South African bridge in her luxury SUV while police warned all drivers not to cross. Confident in her vehicle's advanced all-wheel drive system, she laughed off their advice, imagining telling friends how her superior machine conquered the floodwaters. The current immediately swept her SUV away like a toy, carrying it over a mile downstream with her body still inside. 29. The faith-walking pastor. A 35-year-old Gabon preacher declared that with enough faith, one could walk on water like in the Bible. Whether swept up in rhetoric or feeling pressured to prove his point, he decided to demonstrate by walking across a wide estuary requiring a 20-minute ferry ride. There was one problem: he couldn't swim. Confident in divine protection, he waded in as his congregation watched. The miracle didn't occur, and he quickly sank and drowned. 30. The ice swimming scholar. A 38-year-old Canadian doctoral student celebrated New Year 2000 with a polar bear swim, planning to swim between 2 holes cut in frozen lake ice just 6 feet apart. He failed to consider that under ice, in dark, frigid water, it becomes nearly impossible to find the exit due to disorientation. He dove into one hole and never resurfaced, proving a PhD in forestry doesn't grant immunity from hypothermia laws. 31. The pillar demolition expert. In Johannesburg, office workers watched in horror as 52-year-old Ishmael methodically demolished a building by chipping away at a single concrete pillar, the primary support holding up the massive slab directly over his head. This wasn't momentary poor judgment, but a multi-day crusade against physics. Each swing brought him closer to the inevitable. The pillar gave way, the slab collapsed, crushing him and his seat. 32. The emergency bus door opener. A 43-year-old woman on a 12-hour bus journey from Glasgow to London was desperate for a cigarette due to the strict no-smoking policy. When the bus made a scheduled stop on a major motorway where passengers weren't allowed off, her nicotine craving reached a boiling point. In sheer desperation, she forced open the emergency door while the coach traveled at 60 miles per hour. The laws of physics took over. She was pulled from the vehicle and fell under its wheels. The bus made an emergency stop then, but she never got that final cigarette. 33. The hotel roof sleepers. After an evening of drinking, a woman and her boyfriend decided the hotel roof would make a fine bedroom. They climbed over guardrails with pillows and blankets and settled in for the night. Deep in intoxicated sleep, the woman shifted position, slid off the roof's edge, and fell to her death on the street below. Police found her boyfriend still fast asleep on the roof, completely unaware of the tragedy. A grim reminder that when judgment is impaired, walls and railings aren't optional. 34. The Pearl Farm Cowboy. Mitchell "Sharky" Ether was a head diver at an Australian pearl farm known for cutting corners and taking risks. When a mooring rope tangled in the boat's propeller, instead of asking for help, Sharky threw on his gear and jumped in. In his haste, he made a fatal error. He forgot to take the boat out of gear. Once he freed the rope, the spinning propeller grabbed his air hose and reeled him in like a fish, pulling him directly through the blades. His source of life became the instrument of his demise. 35. The Handcuffed Car Thief. 20-year-old Anthony was pulled over for speeding in a stolen car. While police had their backs turned, he moved his handcuffed hands to his front, wiggled through the patrol car partition, and drove off, leading police on a 90-mile chase. Even with spike strips flattening his tires, he kept going until a state trooper spun the car, causing it to roll. His final mistake was not wearing a seatbelt. He was thrown from the vehicle and died a week later from his injuries. 36. The Crocodile River Swimmer. On New Year's Day 2010, a 27-year-old South African woman decided to swim in the infamous Elephants River, despite clear warnings and posted signs about crocodiles. She swam once and emerged unharmed, then again with the same result. Bolstered by success, she went for a third swim. Her luck ran out. Friends watched as she simply disappeared beneath the surface with no struggle or scream, just ripples where she'd been. Her body was never recovered. 37. The Duct Tape Boat Captain. An Oregon fisherman's 12-foot aluminum boat was held together with duct tape in multiple places, including the critical motor mount. The vessel was overloaded with more than triple its recommended weight. When they hit rough water, the man made a fatal mistake. He stood up. The unstable, overloaded, duct-taped boat immediately capsized. While his friend was rescued, the fisherman learned that even duct tape can't fix bad judgment, especially when combined with an ill-fitting life jacket. 38. The Electrified Punching Bag. Ian, a fitness fanatic and professional electrician, converted a room into a home gym, hanging a punching bag with a metal chain. After a night out with his cousin, he returned to show off his setup. He switched on lights and threw a punch, but his hand glanced off and contacted the electrified metal chain at the top. He was electrocuted instantly. Investigation revealed the chain was contacting a live circuit he'd recently installed. A catastrophic mistake for a professional electrician, likely due to fatigue or impaired judgment. 39. The Cigarette Bus Passenger. A 43-year-old woman on a long bus journey was desperate for nicotine due to the no-smoking policy. When the bus stopped on a motorway where passengers couldn't disembark, her frustration boiled over. In nicotine-fueled desperation, she forced open the emergency door while traveling at 60 miles per hour on the highway. Physics did the rest. She was pulled from the vehicle and fell under the wheels. The bus finally made an emergency stop, but she never got that cigarette she died trying to obtain. So there it is, 39 ways to meet your demise in the most peculiar ways. Please don't try these ridiculous ways to meet your maker. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.